Okay. My inner voice and I were talking as I took a bath, and he said that my pedantic behavior would be saving grace, I guess I'm going to say, because when we have children, they will probably want to get away from that sometimes. So it's a good thing. And then I was like, yeah, that's kind of how your romantic music would probably make them feel too. So that's good. That's good. We have plans so we can be alone together if we have children. Um, but I wanted to come back to my story earlier to finish up with, and I might do more than one of these about medical experiences. But if I wanted to be, and I'm just assuming I'm taking that position, if I wanted to be a person who warned people about what medicine can do, or what drug seeking, or looking for ways to make yourself feel better can do to your body, or force medication in the circumstance I'm about to talk about, and why you should be careful. Okay, preventative measures. Okay, so I had talked about how just because that you can get something on the street and then you can get something from the doctor, it is not a moral situation to say that one is better than the other. The only difference is that, well, it's not. I mean, you're going to suffer consequences for it no matter what. That's the thing. You can't, like, you're not getting away with it either way, is what I need to say. And that's this. It's kind of like I tried to explain it before, where ha- the idea of the 401k, where however you're treating yourself at home is how you're going to be handled, probably, by a medical person. So you have to be careful. You have to be make good decisions for yourself. And now that takes some time to learn if nobody has told you. But since I do have experience with it, I would have very much appreciated if somebody told me about these things. So that is something that I can do for being generous. Okay. So let me go back to what happened after I got put on antipsychotics. Like I said, it made me gain 100 pounds. And then I started having bladder issues, where it um, was hurting really bad to pee. It would just, it like wasn't coming out of there like it should, and I would have to just my bladder hurt, and it I don't know how to explain it better than that, but I was in a lot of pain. And finally, I asked to be taken to the doctor, and that around that time is when I started calling out the name Sebastian, because I noticed that my belly was looking pregnant, I thought. And so I started saying that it was Sebastian in there. And my mother had said, "Do you think that you can get pregnant immaculate conception?" And I was like, "I don't know." But anyway, so I got taken to get x rays, and it was a while. I had that going on a while before I decided to finally go to the doctor. And then they found a grapefruit sized cyst inside of my, or like pushing up against my bladder. And so I had to have that. it was called an ovarectomy. So I had to have my cyst cut out along with my ovary. So I only have one ovary now. And I think that happened to me because of the forced medication. Now, and then that rapid weight gain. And then I had to, okay, that surgery was extremely, extremely painful. Uh, I I was bedridden for a little while, and then finally I started getting up and walking around, and I had to be on a walker. And then um, let's see, I guess the last time, I think it was the last time that I saw my grandmother. Like, so I guess my parents wanted to go on a vacation, and and so they took me over to my grandmother's house because they didn't want me being alone while being in pain. And also, I had to go to the doctor and have checkups to have the incision looked at. And so I laid on my grandmother's couch and kind of got up every once in a while to walk around, and she was rolling around in a wheelchair. Now, the reason why she was in, now, I'm not really sure why she was in a wheelchair. She had to have her, a little bit before that, she had to have her colon taken out. And so she had a poop bag on her side, and she um, was put on morphine. And so when I was in my situation, then she came out in a wheelchair, and I just remember that she was laughing a lot. And I don't remember if it was that time or not, but she hit me with a cane, and she said that I would understand what the cane was all about someday. And I still wasn't talking very much at that time, I don't think. But I think that was the last time I saw her. And then after um, I started getting around a little bit better, that was in 2016. So she died in 2017 in January, um, close to my birthday. And as I said, my dog died the day before, or the day after. I I would have to look up all that information to be specific about the details. But anyway, so why do I think that both of us had to suffer like that? What was her situation about, and what was my situation about? Drugs. I would say it was about drugs. Um, she took a lot of pain medication, and so that was um, a revelation that I, okay. So I don't really know about the grapefruit sized cyst. Now, of course, I always wonder about about sin and the punishment of sin spiritually, but also with chemicals that get put in your body, what those can do to you also. Um, so when I had my breast implants removed recently in February, that's what I noticed was that I was a little bit constipated whenever I had to have that anesthesia, and I didn't take hardly any pain medicine. So because of that reason, because of having to see my grandmother have her colon removed. That's a horrible thing. But if I try to think back about why did that happen to her, I think it was from opiates and those kinds of painkiller medications, because of that. um, what that it slows down your digestive processes. Now, somebody would have to tell me about what an antipsychotic does to your reproductive system. I don't know. But obviously, it did something to me. But there's also the fact that it's not a coincidence, I don't think, to say that I went through rapes and these other things and then had a grapefruit sized cyst inside of me. But that was another situation where I wasn't really feeling like anybody had empathy for me that much. It was like, yeah, I was, you know, taken care of, but I don't know that it's the feelings thing. It's the feelings thing that I'm always wondering about. Where is the feelings that people had for me? And like I had my aunt was making jokes about it on the internet, and that really hurt my feelings. Like, why didn't you care? Like, to have any kind of, like, to say anything heartfelt at all about that situation. And that's another big reason why I keep to myself. Now, um so my recommendation for people would be, do not be putting anything in your body um, that's going to harm it, because there are spiritual consequences and there's bodily consequences, because of the chemicals are not good for you. And I think that that is important for people to know. Listen in school when they say no to drugs, say no to alcohol, and it can definitely be a lifesaver for you. And I don't know who all is going to get this message, but you do not want to have to go through those type of things. You can always try and make yourself look at the bright side of a situation, or imagine a future that hasn't occurred yet. But even still, like, I don't know if the future that I tried to create from that I tried to paint in my head to make myself feel better is actually going to happen. I have to take daily action every day to keep myself in good health. And that's what I focus on, is the health aspect of things, and that's inclusive of my mental health. But so after my grandmother died, I think I had to go. Did I? I might have had to go back to another mental institution one more time. Rivercrest, I think. And that was a brief stay. I don't remember why. Um, but I did. Let me talk about this after I finish this one thing. Um, let's see. Uh, yeah, I think it was a month stay in that place, maybe. I don't remember. But was that before or after the ovary? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so after I laid in bed for a while, I eventually resumed exercising again to get the body weight off of me, and I'm pretty sure I was able to get myself off the medicine, um, because I knew that medicine did that to me. So I'm pretty sure I got myself off the medicine, and then I started. I think I was exercising up to up to. Oh yeah, I did have to go back to the mental hospital because I started um, exercising 8 hours a day, and um, I threw away all of my clothes. And I was throwing away a bunch of stuff. I threw away all of my clothes because I used to always dress up and do all these things. And so I decided to clean out my whole closet. I threw away all of my clothes, and I decided I was going to keep. And you know what? I felt kind of strange mentally. I will tell you that. It was like I felt like a different person for a while. I don't even know how I was able to exercise like I was doing, but I just made this I started making these adjustments in my mind and started treating myself like I was in military boot camp. And so I would exercise round the clock, and I would eat a very strict diet. And dogs are getting wound up. And I made sure that I only had 3 outfits because I was just going to make sure that I was just completely simplifying things for myself. And then I guess that behavior seemed too extreme again, and there I went back to the mental hospital. And then after that, I did not want to have to go through that anymore. So thankfully, I I was able to go back. I was able to go back to work at the office, and I was able to get a y'all stop it right now. I was able to get a loan, and it was called a women's loan, and I was able to get my house. But anyway, with the weight loss, y'all quit. With the weight loss, I lost 100 pounds in like 6 to 8 months. Because I did that, and I was exercising so many times, so much a day that I was extremely um, stimulated from it. It was a very strange experience. It was like, okay, I felt like I went to a whole different frequency with the environment. Like, I have that experience every once in a while now where it's like um, my head starts um, feeling like it's full of electricity. And that was happening very intensely then. It still happens now, and it's like I can just feel it. I don't really know what that sensation is, but to me, I think that maybe I don't get too concerned about things like that because with spirituality and um, other things that go on, I think that the body might transition into different frequencies. I do not exercise like that now, but that's why I have my neck like that is because I lost that weight so quickly. And that's why I lost my ovary. And is there anything else that I needed to include in that? There was one little story that I was thinking about when I got my tonsils out. And I don't know if that was a warning for me back then, but when I got a sore throat when I was a younger child, um, my dad wanted me to get my tonsils out because he had his tonsils out, and he didn't want me to have that the problem of getting sore throats for my whole life. And so when they took me to the doctor, I had to have the doctor used scissors to cut my tonsils out, and so that was very, very painful. And so it took me a little while to recover from that. And then I had a friend who got her tonsils out at the same time, and she got hers out with a laser and had no pain. And so I'm not really sure about the comparison or contrast in that story, but I was curious about like why how come I like would have to have a painful experience and another person would not. And maybe it was to like a warning to like not be letting not be going along with my parents making medical decisions for me, just like I thought that later that I found out that I should not be ever allowing myself to be on insurance. Like these are things that like also in comparison to what I said about mooching off your parents for external validation. Well, um, you don't want to do things like that because it messes up your ability to trust in your body when you are asking somebody else to help you make decisions like that. And that's what I'm learning. Another one of the things that I had talked to my grandmother about before she died was that I needed to be able to figure out a way where I could trust myself. And that seemed to light up something in her that she actually did feel empathy about. That she was like, you don't trust yourself. And so that's a big thing for me that I have to do. Trust what's going on with you. Do not assume that some things are a problem that aren't, and just figure out what's going on with yourself. If I have some kind of electricity going on within myself, that might be a good thing. I have no idea what it is. Sometimes like I will fall asleep and I wake up. It's like I never had it until after I met Ren, but I go to sleep and then when I wake up, I feel like it'll be a dream that helped me to have some kind of revelation of a thought, and then I'll feel like this butterfly sensation, and it's like love butterflies, and it's comforting to me because it's my indicator that he's been with me, and yeah, I never had those until I had discovered him. So there it is. That is my public service. Love you. Love you.